escape routes. Turning south would lead him through the houses and small business district of Pine Gulch. To the east was the rugged western slope of the Teton Mountains, which left him north and west. He took a chance and opted to head north, where the quiet roads stretched past ranches and farms, with little traffic to notice someone in a red muscle car. He ought to just call the police and report the theft. Chasing after a car thief on his own like this was probably crazy. But he wasn't in the mood to be sensible. Not with $30,000 worth of sheer horsepower disappearing before his eyes. He pushed Wade's truck to 65, keeping his eye out in the gathering twilight for any sign of another vehicle. His efforts were rewarded just a moment later when he followed the curve of the road past Sam Purdy's pond and saw a flash of red up ahead. His brother's one-ton pickup rumbled as he poured on the juice and accelerated to catch the little bugger. With its 400-cubic-inch V8 and the 350 horses straining under the hood, the GTO could go 130 without breaking a sweat. Oddly enough, whoever had boosted it wasn't pushing her harder than maybe 40. His baby puttered along 15 miles below the speed limit, and Seth had no problem catching up with her, wondering, as he did, if there was some kind of roving gang of senior citizen car thieves on the loose he hadn't heard about. He kept a respectable 2-car length between them as the road twisted again. He knew this road, and knew that just ahead was a straightaway that ran a couple of miles past farmland with no houses. He couldn't see any oncoming traffic, so he pulled into the other lane as if to pass and drew up alongside his baby, intent on getting a look at the thief. He was a punk, nothing more. The kid behind the wheel was skinny, dark-haired, maybe 15, 16. He looked over at the big rumbling pickup beside him, and he looked scared to death. Eyes huge and wild and a narrow face. Good. He should be the little dickhead. Seth rolled the window down, wishing he could reach across, pluck the kid out of the car, and wring his scrawny little neck. "Pull over," he shouted through the window, even though he knew the kid wouldn't be able to hear him. He must have looked like the Grim Reaper, Freddy Krueger, and the guy from the Texas Chainsaw Massacre all rolled up into one, he later realized, and should have predicted what happened next. If he'd been thinking straight, he would have handled the whole thing differently and saved himself a hell of a lot of trouble. Even if the car thief couldn't hear Seth's words, obviously the message got through loud and clear. The kid sent him another wild, scared look and yanked the wheel to the right. Seth growled out a raw epithet at the hideous sound of metal grinding against metal as the GTO scraped a mile marker post on the right. In reaction, the kid panicked and swerved too hard to the left, and Seth groaned as his baby nosedived across the road and landed in an irrigation ditch. At least it was blessedly empty this time of year. The sun was just a sliver above the horizon, and the November air was cold as Seth hurriedly parked the pickup and rushed to his car to make sure the kid was okay. He jerked open the door and was petty enough for just a moment to enjoy the way the kid cringed against the seat, like he thought Seth was ready to break his neck with his bare hands. He felt like it, he had to admit. He had no doubt the GTO's paint was scraped all to hell from the run-in with the mile marker post, and the left fender looked to be crumpled where she'd hit a concrete gate structure in the ditch. He held on to his anger while he checked the thief for any sign of injury. "You okay?" he asked. "Yeah, I think so." The boy's voice shook a little, but he warily took Seth's hand and climbed out of the car. Seth revised downward his estimate of the boy's age, figuring him to be no older than 13 or 14. Just old enough to start shaving more than once a month by the look of it. He had choppy, dark hair worn longer than Hank Dalton would ever have let his sons get away with, and he was dressed in jeans and a gray hooded sweatshirt about 4 sizes too big, with some logo of a wild-looking music group Seth didn't recognize. The kid seemed familiar, but Seth couldn't immediately place him. Odd, since he knew just about every kid in